It's not my favorite sport, but I do like watching tennis, Wimbledon, US Open, two rallies going against a couple of guys with rackets in their hands. It can be a wonderful event to watch. We've been talking about a contest between Baal and Yahweh. Baal having all of these prophets and prophetesses screaming and yelling prayers. And then we have a lone Elijah that's going to depend on something very soft and very tender, the word from God. That's simple. They're on top of Mount Carmel, 1,800 feet in altitude. They're looking down on the Jezreel Valley. It was a rich and a lush valley. A lot of food was produced there, but it was also a place where the highways of the world went through. It's how they took the produce from the Jezreel Valley and from Egypt and other places and got it to world powers. In that very place, Medigo, down in that valley, Armageddon, maybe you've heard about, where the last great battle is going to take place. There's been all kinds of battles take place there. You've had all kinds of world powers fight there. Assyria, Babylon, Rome, the Persians, the British. A lot of battles have taken place there, and it kind of is a forecasting of the last battle that's going to take place at the end of the age. It was the place where the commerce of the world fought for, much like the Atlantic Ocean now, where that is really the place that needs to be controlled for the great powers of the world to control commerce. So here is Elijah in that kind of event looking over the commercial world of that day at the kind of the end of a 3.5 year drought. And he's having this contest where just by prayer he is going to defeat all the prophets of Baal. We're talking on Sunday about how to detect things, how to detect false gods, and how to detect a sick heart, and how to detect the genuine God. But today, I wanted to leave you just 3 questions you could talk about this evening. Now, one thing you should talk about as you're reviewing the sermon is just what were the things that hit your heart the most? What did God speak during the sermon? What did God speak to you that really registered with you the most? But beyond that, there are 3 questions that I would just like you to consider. The first thing is just this: answer the question in your heart and through discussion, where is Yahweh? Where is Jesus central in your life? What kind of habits, what kinds of things that you do? See, like if tennis is important to me, I'm going to watch a lot of tennis. If football's important to me, I'm going to watch a lot of football. If drinking's important to me or wine tasting's important to me, I'm going to go on a lot of wine tasting, and on that will go. If God is important, there will be certain habits that really register in your life. What habits do you repeat over and over and over in your life that would convict or condemn you of being a God follower? The second thing is a very simple thing, but it goes like this. It's just the simple question of, how could my prayer life improve? Now, here's not what I'm talking about. I could pray longer. I could pray more. I'm not talking like that. I'm talking about how, I discussed for a little bit, how could your prayer life, in other words, here was Elijah standing up and calling upon God to bring fire on a sacrifice. He was just making a petition to God. How could your prayer life improve? It says in James 1:5, it says, listen, ask for wisdom, but don't doubt. In fact, ask in faith. So here's really what it's saying. He's saying, don't be double-minded, but act with complete allegiance to God, knowing that He is going to give wisdom. And that's how we know we're going to have the prayers we ask for. In that same book, James says that Elijah prayed a fervent prayer and it was answered. Why? Because he was in total allegiance to God, believing that God would keep His word. So my suggestion to you is just this: how could you improve that kind of fervency, that kind of depth in your prayer life? And then the last thing, it's kind of a simple question, but answer this question: are there things that you are bleeding for now? Remember, they were cutting themselves and trying to get Baal to come and notice them and light the fire. Sometimes people cut themselves. Sometimes people sacrifice severely for something they think would fulfill them. Sometimes it's going into big debt for something. Sometimes it's just giving an enormous. Now, in addictions, we see this, the enormous price people pay for their addictions. Are there things maybe you're bleeding a little bit for that maybe you'd like to just confess tonight or this after, wherever in groups? I'd like to bleed a little bit less for this. I think I'm bleeding too much for this and not enough for this other thing. Here's 3 questions you can just look at, kick them around, ways that you can discuss. I hope you're having a great time in your groups. I'm hoping these messages are having an impact in your life. Listen, have a good time, pray, love one another, and let's keep growing in Jesus.